You know what, Stephen? I'd rather talk to you about coaching legend Fred Akers with the Longhorns, who passed away this week, because I know you covered him back in the day, right?
I did, Robert, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I'll tell you what, as most you may not know, I live in Austin, and I've lived here since the early 80s. And in 1985, I covered the UT football team for a small station in San Antonio. It was kind of the laughable competitor to WOAI, the big station there. And I got a chance to know Freddie really well. And I have to say, what a gracious guy. I don't remember him ever turning me down for an interview. Fred was, he was a folksy kind of guy. And, as coaches go, he was pretty forthcoming. I mean, obviously he didn't tell me everything, and no coach does. But compared to some of the coaches nowadays, both college and professional, he was as forthcoming as I think you can get. And, the interesting thing about Fred Akers, he took over after Darrell Royal retired. He took over in the 1977 season, which was Earl Campbell's final season. The Longhorns went 11-0, were in a position to win the national championship, but then they got to the Cotton Bowl and got whooped by Notre Dame. I want to say the score was 31-10 or something like that. But, that was Earl Campbell's last season. Of course, if you're a Houston fan, you know what happened next. He won the Heisman Trophy, and then he was drafted by the Oilers. But what's interesting, Robert, is that when Darrell Royal retired, he had a lot of clout, but I guess he didn't have enough to pick his replacement, because Darrell Royal did not want Fred Akers to take his position. He wanted it to go to his longtime assistant, Mike Campbell, but obviously the school felt otherwise. They put Fred Akers in, and he coached for 10 years, which you think about that nowadays, man, that's a long time for a UT football coach, especially when you're seeing how Tom Herman's job is so much in jeopardy. Fred coached him for 10 years. First few years were pretty good. The year I covered him was his next to last year, and they went 8-3, and I want to say I believe it was the Bluebonnet Bowl that they went to and lost to Air Force. And, even then, the school was not happy. They were wanting to see Fred Akers gone, and he did make some changes in his coaching staff for the following year, but things continued to go downhill, and then he was fired. But, yeah, I just have so many great memories of Fred Akers. And if you talk about having the time of your life covering the team, that was my first sports reporter job in radio. So that's something you can't possibly forget.
You're listening to Houston Sports Talk.